Senator Ferguson, thanks for giving us an interview again. Bit of a follow-up really from our previous interview. In September last year, we discussed how you were being accused of passing the buck by referring the live grown fiasco to the Controller and Auditor General. Now that this extensive 170-page report has been published, do you feel vindicated?
Absolutely.
Or were the criticisms justified?
No, I think we're vindicated. We couldn't have done the amount of work in the time we had before the elections. And the very volume of information we had compared to the volume of information that the Auditor General obtained, we had about 6 loose-leaf files to go through of documentation. He had something in the order of 60. So obviously he had access to a great deal more information and was able to get much further behind what was going on.
Well, I'll be coming on to that very shortly. I want to concentrate a bit more on the report and your press release. And contained in the report are allegations that the Treasury Minister, Senator Philip Ouzef, attempted to smear the reputation of a civil servant.
Yes.
Who is this civil servant? How did Senator Ouzef attempt to smear him or her?
If you look in the report, it's quite clear that on evidence given by the interim treasurer of the States, that a report was prepared which was not intended to point out the shortcomings of Jersey Property Holdings, but in fact to provide a means of apparently removing the director of Jersey Property Holdings by threatening his professional reputation, and because of this being able to get rid of him without paying any sort of golden handshake.
And how did he propose to do this?
There is a report by the interim treasurer on the way the deal was handled and so on. If your listeners go through the report, I haven't got the reference with me at the moment. It's towards the end, I think, of the main report, where it goes through the details of the phone call that the Auditor General had with the interim treasurer.
Okay, now, because we heard one of the ways that Senator Ouzef, the Treasury Minister, attempted to smear the director of Jersey Property Holdings was insinuating that he was accepting gratuitous meals, expensive meals.
No, it was that he was allowing his staff to accept excessively expensive meals.
And how much were these meals?
£17.
£17.50.
Set menu.
Set menu, £17.50.
£17, £17.50. I mean, what's 50p in it? I mean, it's not. It was the Tarble dote. Really, I don't know anywhere else in the town. Most
17.5 quid, is it? But it did.
And the treatment of it in the records of the department were absolutely correct and spot on with State's policy.
Everything was declared?
Everything was declared. It was in the hospitality book. The whole thing was declared, the amount, who they were going with, no problem.
But it did prompt a headline, didn't it, in the Jersey Evening Post of expensive, lavish meal? We've been down this road somewhere before, if I remember.
Oh, absolutely, but that was how it was presented to the scrutiny panel. But in actual fact, as I say, it was a bog-standard Tarble dote, 1 degree up from having sandwiches, frankly.
Well, I think we won't delve in too far into that, because here we go. The Controller and Auditor General, Mr. Swinson, sent out an email to all States members claiming that correct me if I'm wrong, claiming that the Treasury Minister attempted to discredit him, or bully, intimidate him. Is there any reason why this email cannot be made public. The email that
it was actually a letter sent out by the Auditor General. I would have to check with the Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee.
But the media have got hold of this, haven't they?
Well, it had. Don't ask me how that happened. As far as the Chairman of the PAC is concerned, once a member of the media had got hold of it, then the letter was in fact circulated to all States members.
So it's pretty safe to say that it's a public document, and I'm quite sure if these allegations contained in it are true, there's a huge public interest there, isn't there? We should be able to see this letter.
This is something I'd have to consult with my chairman about, because the letter is addressed to her.
Well, hopefully you will consult, and we would like to publish this letter, obviously, because everything that does need to be substantiated, and of course we don't want any conspiracy theories to start, do we?
No.
In your press release, I find it's a little bit obscure in places. In it, you appear to suggest that Senator Ozef, and as you just said earlier, withheld information from your former panel. You know, you got 6.
No, I didn't specify anyone particularly. I merely said that
we remain concerned.
Correspondence between various parties has been omitted, and
well, I think we remain concerned that the volume of files supplied to the Controller and Auditor General far exceeded that supplied to the Scrutiny panel.
Yes. Now, where the authorisation for that came from, I have no hard evidence. So, but I merely pointed out, or the former Scrutiny panel.
Somebody's withheld information from your Scrutiny panel.
Absolutely. And that is all we're saying. I'm not pointing a finger at anybody. I'm merely pointing out that we didn't get everything. Mind you, this was another reason for passing it to the Auditor General. If we'd had 60 files of information, we couldn't have got the report out in September. We'd have been going till January.
Yeah, but what the thing is here, somebody has withheld information from your Scrutiny.
I think that there is a lesson there to be learned for Scrutiny, that you know, if material is withheld, then Scrutiny can't work properly. But
isn't it time we started pointing the finger and say, hang on, and holding these people to account? This is where a lot of my viewers and a lot of the general public are a little bit peeved. It's always, oh, well, let's learn lessons, let's move on from the past. Somebody withheld information from a Scrutiny panel. Now, who is, you know, we need to know.
Well, the accountability stops at the top, doesn't it?
That's the Treasury Minister.
Absolutely. I mean, Treasury Minister, Council of Ministers, you name it, it ends at the top. And this is something that is obviously going to be coming under discussion over the next couple of weeks.
Because it does again bring into the role of scrutiny and what kind of regard it's held in, doesn't it? We remember Ian Lamarckov refused to give evidence to a scrutiny panel because he had promised the Jersey Evening Post a scoop.
No, I don't quite recall that one.
Yeah.
But never mind.
Yeah, I published a blog and I'll send you the link. But now, again, could this been this withheld information from your panel? Is it just that scrutiny's getting treated with contempt again?
No, actually, that was the last scrutiny effort. In actual fact, I think we're getting on better with information this session. Whether it's we have more, you know, we've actually got through to people to persuade them that, you know, A, we don't leak, and B, it's necessary for the work we do. I really can't say, but normally, we haven't had too much problem with information being withheld, and there's nothing over the last 2 or 3 months that I can stand here, hold up my hand and say, hang on a minute, we haven't been told. So from that point of view, whether we're just getting better at what we ask for, or, I mean, there is that.
It could just be on a lucky streak.
Well, yes, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously something we've got to keep jumping on, because I think it was one of the former senators a few days ago said that Scrutiny should be supported in everything it was doing.
It was Don Filial, I believe, saying that Scrutiny needs teeth.
Yeah, I don't recall, but it was certainly one of the former senators.
Scrutiny, there's a whole other blog. There's a whole other blog there if we want to discuss Scrutiny. Now, Senator Ozef claims that I mean, let's make no bones about it. This is a damning report on the Treasury Minister. The Comptroller and Auditor General's report. Now,
no, I think it's a damning. It's a damning report. Period. I think the thing that really probably affects the Treasury Minister is the letter that we're talking about, where last November it was apparent that there was a whispering campaign to try and rubbish the report and the writer thereof.
Of course, we don't like to, the Comptroller and Auditor General, we don't like to delve into whispers and conspiracy theories and the likes of, but one of the rumours doing the rounds is that the Treasury Minister attempted to make sure the Comptroller and Auditor General's contract didn't get renewed. Do you know if there's any truth in that rumour? Or is that contained in the letter?
Well, the contract isn't due for another couple of years, 18 months, something like that.
So should we put that down to rumour and gossip? Or?
I think at this point in time, yes. I mean, if there's a whispering campaign, then there's a whispering campaign. I don't quite know what's happened to that yet. It's presumably something that the Chief Minister will take into account.
Well, we'll get on to that in a minute, actually. Senator Ozef claims that he's doing what he was elected to do, and that is to hold civil servants to account. Is that fair comment? I mean, there are a lot of people say, well, he got rid of Bill Ogley, he can't be that bad.
Well, it depends what you call... I mean, there's holding to account and there's beating them over the head. And there's quite a difference in how you actually deal with holding people to account.
So do you agree that he is holding them to account? Is he bullying them? Is he intimidating them?
Well, if you look at he says that he was trying to get the Limegrave house at a lower price. He didn't feel it was value for money. Now, we have 4 or 5 valuations, proper valuations by people qualified to do valuations.
In property.
And they're all pretty much in the same area, round about, you know, depending on this, that and the other, but technical matters. But again, it's tucked away in the report. The valuations are all close, which means that the valuations that we were getting were about right. Now, the informal valuations that the minister got...
What do you mean informal? This is a, you know...
Well, he apparently got an informal valuation from the planning minister and from another couple of people who are...
The current planning minister or the previous?
The previous planning minister. And they were substantially lower than the one that the professionals had come out with. But they weren't treated to the same exacting analysis that the professional valuations were. And it was very foolish to rely on, you know, somebody's, oh, I don't think it's worth more than over a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Rather than something that is produced by a professional, taking everything into account. And, you know, it was, as I say, very foolish to do that.
And, okay, we've got I just want to come back to the passing the buck business. It's undeniable the CAG's report is, you just said, damning on the conduct of the Treasury Minister and others, and perhaps the setup of state's business. It's quite a, I believe it's quite damning in that respect. Now, Mr. We've got allegations of bullying, intimidation, attempts at smears and so forth. The CAG didn't address the possible misuse of the social media, which was in part of the remit.
No, that's a political matter.
That's right.
And that I'm taking to PPC.
Well, that's what was bringing me on to. You appear to be waiting to see. This is again where people are a little bit peeved, if you like. So you're waiting to see what the PPC are going to do about it.
Well, as far as use of the media is concerned, yes.
Yeah, in reality.
Because they have got, I mean, if they're not going to do anything, then it will require a proposition to the states. But first of all, the proper process, due process, is to go through PPC. Now, if I can't backtrack a moment, PPC is up to the eyeballs at the moment trying to get, we're doing a review of standing orders, a review of the electoral system, the actual nuts and bolts of it, and a review of the machinery of government. Sir Philip Balash has his electoral commission, which is busy beavering away, so that actually bringing these other miscellaneous items in, let's get the bulk of the heavy work out of the way, because the machinery of government is absolutely essential.
I agree with that.
Must be done.
Well, I suppose my point is PPC can't do a damn thing about it anyway. I think it should be important.
No, there are codes of conduct, and there is nothing to stop us actually adding something to the code of conduct. And if PPC don't get round to it, then I'll bring a proposition to do it. No problem.
I think the important thing to point out to viewers here is we're talking about that Senator Ozef was blogging during an ongoing review. This is what we're discussing here at the minute.
Yes.
And in fairness to the CAG, he said this is a political matter and didn't get involved. But
yes, I felt it was unfair because we had the retiring director of Jersey Property Holdings, who was only allowed to speak during a scrutiny hearing.
With privilege.
Because it was a legal matter and he had to.
Effectively, he was gagged.
And he was gagged, yes.
But wasn't Senator Ozef gagged as well? Wasn't he supposed to be gagged?
No, because he didn't. He was coming at it from a different angle. He wasn't speaking about the gagging applied to the agreement. And it said that, I haven't actually seen the particular agreement that was signed, but in effect, the retiring director was gagged.
But the
minister wasn't.
And he blogged about it?
Oh, yes.
And that's where this is
where I feel that it was unfair.
We'll see again what the PPC come up with, but I think we'll be waiting a long time. I
may have to bring a proposition, in fact.
Right, and again we're waiting also to see what the Chief Minister is going to do. The Chief Minister obviously has just come out. In fact, one of the most misleading headlines I've seen on Twitter last night was Channel Television saying Chief Minister speaks out about Lime Grove report. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. He hasn't spoken out about it at all. The Chief Minister has ducked, dived and sat on a fence.
It wasn't exactly...
How that can come across as speaking out is just, but then again, that's Jersey journalism. Now, what the problem is here, everybody, this is where you might get accused of passing the buck again, is, well, we're passing this to PPC, we're giving that to the Chief Minister. It's clear that PPC is going to take forever to do anything, and it's clear that the Chief Minister is going to take to do anything. So you could be accused of passing the buck again. Why don't you bring a vote of no confidence against the Senator Ozef if his conduct is that bad? I
think the interesting question, which if you interview Senator Ozef, you may wish to ask him, I would have thought that the interesting question is if he is so certain that he has done nothing wrong, then perhaps he ought to resign and stand again.
Well, Senator
without
Ozef,
all the kerfuffle of a vote of no confidence.
well, Senator Ozef has told me he'll give me an interview. I'm hoping to hear back from him today. Now, I will put that question to him.
I think it's a perfectly fair question.
Let's assume then he comes back and says, no, I'm not going to stand down and resign. Will you then bring a vote of no confidence against him? Because what the thing is, the point I'm trying to make again is, we're going to see what this person's going to do, or we're going to wait and see what that happens. You know, everybody's waiting and waiting and waiting. Now, when's any action going to happen?
One has to get organised.
One has to get organised, but the bottom line is, I suppose I've got to put it straight, will the Treasury Minister face a vote of no confidence if he doesn't stand down and stand for
In fact, I was going to have a word with Honest Nev and see if he was running a book on it, actually. You know, things change in politics.
Things change, but you still haven't answered my question, Senator.
Absolutely not, and I'm not going to.
You know, well, I suppose I can't push you any further on it. Do you think he would survive a vote of no confidence?
Oh, well, that's the $64,000 question. If he's confident that he will survive one, then obviously he will resign and stand again.
It does, because Ian Lamarca nearly beat him for the post of Treasury Minister. Senator Lamarca nearly beat him, and I think on the basis that Senator Lamarca was bought an abacus for Christmas. Let's be honest, he's not got a background in finance.
No, I think you're wrong there. I think he's got more of a background in finance than you realise. As a matter of fact, the person in the States who's got the most background in finance is me. So there.
So, okay then.
But, you know, we will just have to see how things pan out.
Let's talk hypothetically, and let's just say, for instance, a vote of no confidence was brought against the Treasury Minister. Would you stand for the position?
I would have to consider my options, yes.
Shall I take that as a yes?
No. You take that as a... I'll have to think about it.
Senator Ferguson, thanks. I really appreciate your time with me today, and we'll see what happens, and we'll speak with, hopefully get an interview with Mr. Ozef, Senator Ozef. Thanks.